Freedom's greetings, Helldivers. Aaron here to bring you all the latest intel on the new patch that just dropped this morning, as well as how it's affected the game and what it means for the future. Feels like it's been a hot minute since I actually got to do one of these, so let's just get right into it, shall we? The first changes we've received with the 1.0002.101 patch involved an improvement to gas weaponry, specifically the Tox Spewer and Dog Breath Guard Dog model, who have both had their gas status effect duration increased from 6 to 10 seconds. The Dog Breath has also received a pretty significant overhaul, mirroring mine and many others' requests. The AI of this guard dog now, instead of spraying down one foe until it dies, will attempt to inflict the gas debuff on as many individual enemies as possible, vastly improving its ability at controlling hordes of enemies. In addition to this, the range of the guard dog's targeting has been doubled from 10 to 20 meters as well, meaning this previously joke of a stratagem may finally find its niche as a reliable crowd controller. Our Helldivers have also received some new capabilities, as well as some old favorites back, as we'll discuss later. Now, instead of pulling trick shots with the artillery shells, you can finally just run with them instead, as well as barrels, which is likely to lead to less Helldivers skipping the SEAF artillery objective in the hopes that the teammates do it instead. The Puma FRV now is also harder to explode through impacting terrain. The camera has been made much cooler when driving down hills, and the keybind can now be utilized by non QWERTY keyboards, finally allowing our French Helldivers their driver's license.
You were at my side all along.
It's also received some quality of life improvements, featuring better handling when cornering, as well as the ability to now toss your grenades and stratagems while leaning out of the vehicle, allowing you to capture the power fantasy of drive-bying enemy outposts with 500 kg atomic bombs. The Plaz 15 Loyalist, due to still not being picked enough, has received yet another magazine in the hopes that you'll actually start using it. The sterilizer is likely still not very useful at all, but as I said, it now lasts 10 seconds, up from 6 when inflicting gas on your enemies. And in addition to that, get ready for it, now has greatly reduced recoil. Yeah, I don't think this thing is going to see any more use until they just give it some fat clouds to spray, as we've talked about before. But speaking of player feedback, they've heard our feedback about the Siege Ready passive. They've decided to make the extra ammunition for all magazine fed weaponry, not just your primary, a permanent feature of the passive. Which is great news because I love this passive. You love this passive. We all love this passive. So thanks, Arrowhead. The minefields also received a couple buffs. Still not a very popular pick, and that's probably not likely to change, but the standard anti personnel minefield had its damage increased from 350 to 700, making it more effective against medium sized threats. And the deployment spread increased by 20% to reduce how often they chain off of each other, wasting the entire field on one enemy. The incendiary mines also got a damage buff from 210 to 300, in addition to the 50 damage per second inflicted by the burning debuff, and also received that 20% spread increase. And both the anti personnel and incendiary mines, in addition to the anti tank mines, all received a cooldown decrease from 180 seconds all the way down to 120 seconds baseline, greatly improving how often you can throw these stratagems to either grief your team or get them destroyed by an ally's airstrike. In order to make the SH-20 ballistic shield more distinct from the deployable one, they've now made it so the ballistic shield is capable of blocking melee hits for you, although it'll break when receiving enough damage. Congratulations to our melee enthusiasts. This change is awesome for you. On top of all of this, we've also received some high priority fixes. Chief among them, you can now once again emote while ragdolling, although it can no longer be utilized to reduce fall damage. Still a win in my book, but the falling ragdoll tech will be missed. Illuminate warp ships are now properly damaged by explosives rather than being immune to them, removing the one flaw explosive weaponry had against this faction. In addition to this, the warp ships now no longer have a fake door, and all explosives will now properly detonate them when thrown through the door instead of just impact based ones. Stim boxes found out in the wild now fully restore your stim stock, and the supply backpack once again supplies your allies with stims, no longer having to drop it to them to utilize it, which is about as great a fix as our Helldivers are going to be getting following this change. Quick play matchmaking has been soft reworked to prioritize matching you with allies from your region, as well as with allies playing similar difficulty missions to the one that you had previously selected. Arc weaponry can now hit Impaler tentacles because the Arc 12 Blitzer just can't stop getting W's on its way to being the best bug primary of both 2024 and 2025. There was one unfortunate bug lost in the process of all of this, as Worm Divers is no longer possible, allegedly. You'll no longer slide around after being blasted to the floor like a snake. Wouldn't be surprised if they failed to fix this one though, or there was just another way to do it. A bug I was previously unaware of was also apparently fixed, that was causing some weaponry to deal 1 damage rather than 0 when attacking enemies with a greater armor level than the weapon penetration, which was giving false visual feedback with negligible damage. I can't think of what specific examples this is referring to be honest, but I imagine you'll tell me here soon after this video's gone live. Another unfortunate bug fix that I'll never forgive is that we can no longer fling the cars around with melee weapons. This one is definitely up there on the hating fun bug fixes, as it was just goofy and hurt absolutely nothing besides immersion. But even that could be disputed by just saying the planet was maybe low gravity or that the futuristic space cars were just made of extremely light material. I'll definitely miss this bug as I was considering designing a mini game around it. Allegedly, the notorious bug that caused civilians to get lost and become unable to find the door during civilian rescue operations has been fixed, saving countless super equal lives across the galaxy. For now, enemies now sink into the ground when near the extraction or terminals, which will now prevent players from being corpse blocked from loading onto the Pelican or completing the objective, saving many super equal Helldiver lives across the galaxy. Besides a bunch of crash fixes, which should make your game a lot more smooth, there was also a host of more minor changes, but that covers the major ones and all the important stuff. Thing is, though, this patch was 5 gigabytes, and this was not 5 gigs worth of content. I promise you that. The leaks have already been insane, detailing all kinds of new information, enemies, and the new Warbond, weapons, you name it. Stay tuned as I'll be covering all the leaks for those of you unbothered by gear spoilers later on today. Thank you to my coffee supporters who help keep the channel going, and thank you for watching till the end. I'll see you next time.